Hi, this is Pete the Tech Guy, and this is one of my short commentaries. If you like what you hear, check out the rest of my short commentaries on my short commentary playlist, which has just started. I'm not doing the long podcasts anymore, but I may do them in the future. But for now, we're just doing short commentaries. Today's short commentary is on a little bit of an odd subject. And I go to daily mass. I'm recording this Saturday morning. I believe today is the 20th. Is today today's the 20th or 21st, Val? 21st. I should have known that because it was a Friday the 13th this year. And after morning mass today, at the end of the mass, the priest told us, with the hurricane coming, Hurricane Henri, if you feel unsafe coming to mass tomorrow, if there's a risk, don't bother coming. He says, I just live right there, but I'll be doing mass and so forth. Well, I've got that in my mind, and I suddenly had the thought, I feel like going to McDonald's. So I go to McDonald's, I go in and sit down. They've just allowed sitting down in there again, and I get pancakes and sausage. And so I'm sitting down, I'm watching the weather report. A lot of old guys sit down at McDonald's. I generally wasn't one of them, but I just had a feeling to go there today. And I'm having my pancakes and sausage, I'm having my drink, I'm watching the weather reports. And it occurred to me how seamless it was. And if you've gone to McDonald's, or you've gone to most of the times you go to a fast food restaurant, it's fairly seamless. You order, you get your stuff. Once in a while you have a problem, they have to fix it. But usually it's, you get in, you're out, you have your stuff, and it runs very smoothly. In other words, you don't notice the operation. And at the end of my meal, I noticed one of the guys was on break, and I went over to her. I said, I apologize for interrupting you, but I just wanted to say, compliment you. You got the food, the food was good, it was very efficient, and you guys do a really good job, and people don't notice it. And people don't say anything because they don't notice it, because it's so efficient. And when something is efficient, you don't see the operation of it. And it came to mind because of Hurricane Henri. Now, there's a hurricane. We don't get big hurricanes here around Fitchburg, although it's supposed to hit around here. I think the last really, really nasty one was in the 30s, and there was some smaller ones since then. My parents told me about a big one in the 30s that they had to deal with. But I find myself not worrying at all about how the state's going to handle it. And the reason why I find myself not worrying about it is because of the governor. We have Charlie Baker as the governor, and I have a lot of criticisms of Charlie Baker in terms of ideological stuff. And I've had the same type of problems that I had with Mitt Romney on ideological stuff. And there's certain things I still don't forgive Mitt Romney over. But there's one thing that I have no problem with Charlie Baker on, and that's administration and efficiency. And this was also a strength of Mitt Romney, is that when there's a crisis like this coming, I have no doubt that Charlie Baker is on top of it. He's directing the people properly, and that'll be done efficiently. And this is the same strength that Romney had as governor, is that he's a very able administrator, and that when things have to be handled like this, they're going to be taken care of. And that's really, when you have someone who can do the job, when you have someone who's competent, someone who can do a job efficiently, you don't notice them. That's really the best jobs that are done, you don't notice. When you have a really good governor, or you have someone who really is competent, basic things get done efficiently because you have competent leadership spreads below and makes things run smoothly. And when things run smoothly, you don't notice it. People remember when there's a problem at the supermarket, with things, but a lot of organizations, the best run organizations, run smoothly and you don't notice it. And that's really the difference between a Joe Biden and a Donald Trump, or a Mitt Romney, or a Charlie Baker. Now, Donald Trump is the full package in the sense that he was an able administrator, and he was an ideological warrior who was willing to fight. But he was more fighting for the able administrator. He's more pragmatic than people give him credit for. But he was an able administrator and had good people under him, and that's because he did run businesses. Charlie Baker has that kind of experience. Mitt Romney has that kind of experience. They don't have Trump's strength in terms of the ideological fight, but they're all good administrators, and with a good administrator, things run smoothly. Now, Joe Biden, or who was ever actually in charge in the White House, is not a good administrator. And because he's not a good administrator, Afghanistan is a disaster. And it's being reflected as a disaster in the press, mainly because the disaster affects the elites. The average person like me or you are hit hard by illegal immigration and the border crisis, are hit hard by the mask mandates, are hit hard by critical race theory, are hit hard by the gun control rules, are hit hard by crime, are hit hard by inflation. But they don't generally affect the elites, so the elites aren't worried about that. The crisis in Afghanistan, except for if you have a relative who's a troop or a member of the army, doesn't affect the average person that much. But for all the NGOs that are out there, people who are on various boards, people who were making money off of the hundreds of billions of dollars that were spent there, or enhancing their resumes, the friends and sons of friends of all these elites, they're all affected because now they're trapped, and suddenly the inefficiency of Joe Biden becomes a problem. It's a problem because the elites, are affected. And that's the price you pay when you put in someone inefficient. The elites wouldn't be threatened by a President Romney, although they would call him Hitler. They wouldn't be affected by a President Baker, although they would call him Hitler. They were threatened by Trump because he also went after their perks, which is why they went after them at the time. But the point is, when you have someone who knows what he's doing, someone who's competent, someone who knows how to run things, things will go smoothly. When you don't have someone who's competent running things, or who doesn't care about such things, things do not. I suspect that if the manager of the McDonald's where I had my breakfast at this morning, had been told, all right, this is Afghanistan, how are we going to do this? He would have been more efficient, because he knows that his job depends on efficiency at McDonald's, getting things right. Same type of thought process. Someone who's used to administrating and doing a job properly. That's the strength of the manager at McDonald's. That's the strength of Charlie Baker as Hurricane Henri comes and gets ready to hit Massachusetts. That was the strength of Mitt Romney. That was one of the strengths of Donald Trump. It's not the strength of the Biden administration. So, I'm going to leave you with this. I want to thank, and I'm doing this in advance because hopefully Governor Baker will not betray my confidence in him in this emergency, but I want to thank the people in Massachusetts who are going to be efficiently taking care of the fallout from the hurricane that's about to hit us. And thank Charlie Baker and the people under him. I mean, we'll still have disagreements on certain ideological things, especially culture warrior things. But I have confidence that you're going to do things well. And as a homeowner here in Massachusetts, and as a person whose wife and sons live in Massachusetts, I'm grateful that that efficiency is there. So thank you very much. I want to thank the people at McDonald's, and not just here, but all over the country, because you guys do things well and efficiently, and you probably get very little credit for it. It's noticed and appreciated. Thank you for that. And I want to remind the rest of the country, and those who were so anxious to get rid of a good administrator who had tweets they didn't like, and replace him with a bad administrator, that you get what you paid for, and people are going to notice it. So keep that in mind, that a good administrator, while weak in other things, is invaluable. And if you had a good administrator, a lot of what would be going on, we would almost not notice, because it would be done right. Keep that in mind in everything you do, and it'll make a difference. Well, that's all for today. This is Pete the Tech Guy, hoping you have a fine weekend, and if you're in New England like me, I hope you are safe from Hurricane Henri. Take care.